All right, now. All right, so let's see if this does it. That one,
The grind.
that one. Are we good?
Traveling across the country, I hear from adults all the time who say, I wish I had known
So working good?
Yep.
this stuff when I was younger. And you guys, for a lot of those people, they took their first step in getting into debt their first day of college. At this point, you're probably thinking, all right, Rachel, I won't take out loans, but how in the world am I going to pay for college? Well, that's what we're going to dive into right now.
I'm not really sure. I haven't really looked into that.
If you're following along, we're on, should be like on page 110, 111, 112 in your book.
And it can be 1,000 a year or 4,000 a year.
I'm not really sure about that actually.
About 20,000 a year.
Public, maybe about 16 grand. Private, probably closer to 30 to 40 grand.
It depends, like you said, public or private, but I'm going to a private college and I believe it's 24,000 a year.
Public, kind of more than a private.
Private, the ones that I've looked at are like 22,000, and that's in-state and out. And in-state tuitions that I've seen are like 6,000.
Depends on what kind of scholarships you get and what kind of grades you make. But probably, for me, hopefully only a couple thousand.
Public is probably around 20,000 a year.
I'm not sure about public because I'm going private, but it's 20,000 a year plus around 6,000 to 7,000 for room and board. So a lot of money.
About if it's a big college, it's about 200 to 500. If it's a small college, about 100 to 300.
Here's the good news, you guys. There are tons of ways to cash flow college. Get good grades. Do well in your ACT or SAT. Shop around. Research grants and scholarships. Get a part-time job or work on campus. In fact, a combination of all of these things is really the way to go. Of course, it won't happen automatically. You will need a plan. So let's walk through each of these options. The first thing you can do right now is get good grades. You know that grade in that one class that you hate the most and swear you'll never use out in the real world? Well, it matters. It matters because your grades are a big part of your acceptance into college. Also, good grades can help you get free money. Who wouldn't want that, right? So you're basically getting paid to be a high school student. Hard work now equals big money later. Another way to earn big money is by doing well on your ACT or SAT. These tests measure your understanding of what you've been taught during your 4 years of high school. It's important to remember that you don't have to wait until the end of high school to take the test. It's actually a good idea to sign up for the ACT or SAT your sophomore year. Right away, you'll get a clear picture of what areas you excel in and what areas you'll need improvement. You can find study books at your local library or take prep courses offered by a community college or university in your area. Many of them are pretty inexpensive or totally free. Keep in mind that the ACT and the SAT are not created equal. Some students find that they do much better on one test than another. So go ahead and take both multiple times. One student, Chad, took the ACT 18 times. Yeah, that's a ton of early Saturday mornings. By the end though, he earned a perfect ACT score and received a full ride scholarship to college. That, my friends, makes it all worthwhile. Now maybe you're thinking, how much does college even cost? I mean, what is a full ride scholarship really worth? Well, I'm so glad you asked. The most recent averages are as follows. For a private university, $29,000. For an out-of-state public university, $21,700. For an in-state public university, $8,600. Oh, and did I mention those numbers are per year? That means your total tuition costs at graduation can range anywhere from $34,000 to $116,000 in just 4 years, people. And that doesn't even include living expenses like rent, food, or bills. That's why it pays not only to get good grades and to do well in your ACT and SAT, but also to do your research. As you're thinking on where you'd like to go, it's a good idea to narrow down your choices to 6 schools or less. Then get to work. Look online to determine what degree programs each school offers, how much tuition costs, where the school is located, the price differences between living at home versus living on campus, and any other factors you and your parents feel are important. We offer a great resource and tools online at foundationsu.com to help you choose a college. Also, don't pick a school based on where your friends are going. Schools that have an awesome football team or a big party scene might sound awesome right now, but those things won't matter much when you're 25, jobless, with no college degree, and a ton of debt. Instead, explore your options with a keen eye. A more expensive school does not always mean a better quality. Many employers don't care where you went to college. They just want to know that you graduated. So think about skipping the private school and don't just step over your state line to go to a public university and pay 3 times as much. I went to a state school in my own state, remember? No complaints here. It was an awesome experience, and you can do the same. You can also attend a community college for the first 2 years to knock out your basic courses at a super low cost. Then you can transfer those courses to a local university to get your 4-year degree. So it won't matter that you went to a community college. Your degree will only show that you graduated from a 4-year university. Keep in mind that if you attend a community college, you should work closely with your advisor to make sure your classes transfer. Most of them do, but it's always best to be on top of things so you don't waste any time or effort. I know that this is a lot, but there's even more options to consider.
My school was a private school, and the sticker price at that school, after you factor in everything, tuition, room, board, food, was about $45,000 a year. That was a huge price tag, and I didn't have that kind of money going into it, but I had it in my head early that I wanted to graduate debt-free. And so I knew that I could find the opportunities to cut that cost down and to make it manageable. Colleges offer so many opportunities to cut down on that cost, be they scholarships, be they work studies, being an RA, tons of things. I mean, I got a scholarship in my college for playing in a bagpipe corps. You know, there are tons of things that colleges will do to help you cut down on costs. So never look at that and be like, $40,000, there's no way I could do that without debt, because at the end of the day, if you do your homework and you start early, it's not going to be that much. One of the most important things when you're trying to graduate debt-free is scholarships. The truth is there are hundreds of thousands of dollars out there, tens of thousands of dollars that go unclaimed every year because no one even bothers to apply. So if you want to cut out a big chunk of your tuition cost, you're going to have to research a lot of scholarships. The good news is there's a lot of help out there. Oftentimes scholarships will have you write an essay. This is a really important piece, so you want to make sure that as you're applying for these scholarships, you're getting the writing help to make your essay stand out, because believe me, if it's a popular scholarship that tons of people are applying for, most people are going to write that essay the night before the scholarships do. So if you want the scholarship, you can't do that. You're going to have to plan ahead, and you're going to have to spend several weeks, months, depending on the essay, writing it, perfecting it, making sure that it says what you want it to say, and that it expresses what you really want it to express. And an important piece to that is understand what the scholarship is looking for. Understand what that committee will be looking for, and then make sure you highlight the things you've done that fit in with that. The other key thing is that you're going to want to work during college. For me, I worked about 20 hours a week while I was studying, and my grades were always, great through that time. In fact, better than a lot of my friends who weren't working. The other thing is during the summer, plan on working during college. Plan on having 3 jobs. Your summer is the time to really save up a chunk of cash to put towards the next semester, because inevitably, you're going to do this research. I think you're going to get lots of scholarships because there are tons out there, but you're going to have that cash too. Another important thing is just keep the end in mind. Like I said, that was the key is beginning early. But another key is never forgetting that you want to graduate debt-free. You'll have loan officers that'll come up and tell you that you can't do it, that you need to take this loan. They'll offer you loans. So you have to keep it straight in your head that you want to graduate debt-free, and don't let anyone else tell you that you can't.
All right, thoughts, comments?
Great video.
I never actually I liked how he said look up the scholarships and all of that. That was a good one. And then also sending it out to a bunch of schools.
All right, let me see. I'll hit that. I'm going to give you that resource here in a minute. Yeah, couple things. A big thing he says, scratch around. There's money out there to be had. There's money that's left, scholarship money that's left on the table every year. So talk about that resource that he has online that you may want to sign up for, and then they just start firing you emails of potential scholarships that you may qualify for and want to pursue, or at least links to those. And like I said, there's money left on the table. My daughter played college golf, and I know female golfers, if you wanted to go play college golf up in a northern colder state, there were scholarships that were going unused every single year. So there's money out there, and as he said, you kind of have to be persistent. You got to scratch around, you got to dig around, you got to invest some time and effort. But there is money out there to be had. Also, you guys that are juniors, when you're looking at college scholarships or colleges, one of the things you want to look at is retention and time to graduate. If a school has a very low retention rate, meaning let's say that only 60% are graduated in 4 years, or only they got a retention rate in the 70 or 80%, that's a school you may want to take a little bit closer look at, because for some reason there's a lot of people that are not sticking the 4 years out there and graduating. So that's a key factor when you're out searching around. And as he also said, get a job at college. I think particularly you seniors, when you go off next year, instead of taking 8 classes a day, 5 days a week, you'll quickly learn that you're probably going to take 2 or 3 classes per day for 4 days, maybe even 5. So you're only in class typically maybe 2 or 3 hours max per day, as opposed to what you've been doing here, where you're here 8 hours a day, not counting after school sports and extracurricular activities. So there's going to be time in your schedule. Now in college, of course, you're going to have to invest a lot more time outside of class than what you probably do here. I think they say for every hour of class, you spend 6 hours outside of class prepping and preparing and doing work for it. But there is time there that you can possibly or likely get outside employment, work 15 or 20 hours a week. Any other thoughts or questions? We've got one other video. Let me get to that. Hold on 1 second. I can find my screen. Let's see. Give me a second to get this thing to cooperate. Doesn't want to do that. There we go. Let's see. I want this guy. All right, you getting the video?
Yes.
Scholarships you don't have to pay back. Student loans you do.
Scholarships, you're given money, but loans people lend you money and you have to pay it back.
They're basically it's like a reward.
Scholarships you earn by being good in school or at a sport. in loans, or you just get paid to do it.
The scholarships are just giving you money for like your strength if you're really good at doing something or you're in a sport, but the loans you're going to have to eventually pay off, which catches up a lot of people.
Scholarships depend on like how well of a student you are and what your activities are sometimes, and money that you don't have to pay for. And loans, you have to pay it back with interest.
In order to make the most of cash flow in college, you've got to hone in on the specifics, like filling out your financial paperwork, researching scholarships and grants, and finding a part-time job. First up is the FAFSA, or the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. The FAFSA is your first step of receiving any kind of money for college. You can get started on the FAFSA as soon as your parents submit their tax information at the beginning of your spring semester of your senior year. That means you can fill them out as early as January or February, and the sooner the better, because some federal funding is awarded on a first-come, first-served basis. So don't forget to file your FAFSA early. Filling out the FAFSA helps the government determine how much need your family has when it comes to paying for college. Based on what they find, you'll be awarded student loans and possibly grants. Remember, student loans are bad news. Make sure you ask that student loans be removed from your funding. Grants, on the other hand, are golden. Federal grants, such as the Pell Grant, are free money that never have to be paid back, unless, for example, you withdraw from school. But double check with your college's financial aid office. Most states offer other grants as well. Another form of free money is scholarships. We talked about how to get good grades and high scores on your ACT or SAT. That helps you get scholarships. But there are plenty more ways we haven't mentioned. Your college or university probably offers scholarships for things like being on a sports team, past volunteer experience, leadership roles, ethnicity, religion, or your college major. Some community-based organizations like the Rotary Club offer college scholarships. Also, local businesses offer them for children of employees or employees themselves. Of course, you can also search online to find countless scholarships, ranging from silly to serious. Now, you might have to write an essay, which sounds time-consuming, but think about it. If you just spend 1 hour writing an essay that earns you a $500 scholarship, that's like 50 times the amount that you can make working 1 hour at a part-time job. The bottom line is this: applying for scholarships will make a dent in your college costs. If you get stuck at any point in the process, just stop by your college's financial aid office. You can always check out our tools and resources on foundationsu.com. Once you've chosen your school and have scholarships and grants rolling in, you may be all set. If not, that means there's still a little bit more work to be done. Okay, you might be thinking, isn't college supposed to be fun? Nobody said anything about working on top of school. Okay, hear me out. Did you know that 78% of freshmen plan to work during their college years? And students who work up to 20 hours a week earn higher grades than students who don't work at all? That's because working helps you develop good time management skills, which directly translates to your classes. Now, you can find jobs off campus that offer flexible schedules for students in a variety of roles, or you can work on campus in the library, the rec center, as a tour guide or a resident assistant. Some on-campus jobs can pay you directly, while others pay towards your tuition. Of course, the best way to be smart with your money is to follow the 5 foundations. That's because 8 out of 10 students who drop out of college drop out due to money. And if you do your research, apply for grants and scholarships, work while you're in college, have an emergency fund, and stick to your budget, you can be a student without a student loan and graduate debt-free.
Thanks for listening, America. This is the Dave Ramsey Show. Next on the phones is Sarasota, Florida. Jim is calling. Hey, Jim, what's going on, man?
Hey, Dave. What's wrong with using student loans to help pay for college? Aren't loans okay as long as they're a good investment?
Well, I do agree with you, Jim, that a college education is a good investment because what you're really investing in is in you and in your future. We teach people to stay away from debt, period. And that certainly includes student loans. And the reason is your risk is increased. Here's the problem, Jim. Of the people that go to college, only 52 to 57% graduate. That means almost half the people that go to college with student loan debt come out without the degree and with the debt. Major problem. See, that equals risk. And
Mr. Gaffney.
how many 32-year-olds I have talked to who are still struggling to pay off their student loan debt 10 years after college. And their student loan debt is dictating to them the type of career they can have because they can't afford to go out and do that job they want to do or open that business they want to open because they're stuck paying this loan.
Hey, Hunt.
It saps the life out of you. And so while it sounds real sophisticated and real cool to call student loan debt good debt,
Stand by.
it's really not, dude. Choose your college carefully to where you can afford to pay cash while you work your way through with your parents' help and getting scholarship help and those kinds of things. Thanks for the call.
You're wet.
All right. All right.
Mr. Gaffney.
Thoughts, comments? Yes, Mr. Williams, what can I do you for?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All the power is out in my neighborhood and down Ruby's Road. My mom's emailing you though.
Okay. All right. I've got several things I got to accomplish in the next 8 minutes. Thank you. Let's see. Any thoughts or comments on that video? All right. The exercise we did on Tuesday with the on-campus versus the off-campus. Which of the 4 schools? What trend did you see there? Anybody?
On campus was cheaper.
On campus was cheaper.
It was way cheaper.
And that's probably a good, it saved you a couple $1,000s a year, which of course it's almost like living in a motel room, but it's probably a good way to go the first couple of years and then maybe try the apartment life the last couple of years, again, just to keep the cost a little bit lower the first couple. Any other thoughts or comments on the video? I want to kind of get you set up on a fairly quick exercise. You're going to need a sheet of paper, spiral notebook or line paper to take some notes of what you got to do. Okay, so grab that. And I'm going to walk you through.
B, you good?
I'm going to walk you through what you got to do, okay? All right. So we're going to do an exercise here, all right? And you're going to go to foundationsu.com, which you already know that's www.foundationsu.com. So make a note of that. Or you can just even Google it. And once you get there, click on, and then across the header, there's several headers. You're going to do tools. And then you're going to use the online, what's called the online budgeting tool, which was, I think was right next to that off-campus versus that on-campus tool that you used on Tuesday. Any questions so far?
So go to tools and online budgeting tool.
Online budgeting tool. You're going to actually create a budget online.
All right.
Here we go. You got to make some notes. Here's your situation. You're going to work 20 hours per week at $10 per hour. All right? Make a note, and we're going to do this it's going to be a monthly budgeting tool, monthly budget. So there's 4 weeks in a month, right? And whatever this income is, you're going to multiply by 0.80. Because about 20% of what you make is going to be payroll deductions, Social Security, Medicare, state taxes, and federal taxes. So your income that you have at your disposable income, is going to be 80% of 20 times $10 times 4. Does that make sense?
Well, say that again. 80% times what?
Well, it's going to be 20 hours a week times $10 an hour times 2 weeks, or 80 times 10. Same difference, right? But then whatever that value is, multiply it times 0.80, because about 20% of that, your paycheck, if you guys that are working, you already know this, is going to be deducted for state taxes, federal taxes, Medicare, and Social Security. All right, number 2. So you're going to have that per month. This is your income sources. From a summer job, you're going to take out, you've got a little over $3,000. You're going to take out $300 a month in addition to what you earned with your job here. So that's that's going to be an additional source of income per month for your budget, plus what you earn from your job. Now your nice parents are going to match your summer savings that you're pulling out each month. So they're going to match your how much? Another $300. So your parents are going to match how much you're pulling out per month. So you got this, and this is your income per month. Right? So you're going to have to calculate what that is. All right. Questions so far?
What site did you say you had to go to?
Can you scroll down so we can see the third one?
Sorry. I'm operating on a tiny screen. So the 20 hours times $10 an hour, 4 weeks per month, multiply it times the 0.80. So you got a source of income here. You're going to take $300 a month out of your savings from your summer job, as to add to this, and to add to those two, your parents are going to match that $300. That's all your income. All right. Then you're going to go to foundationsu.com. Click on college, or just Google it and then click on the college, click on tools, go to the online budgeting tool. All right, so you've got some fixed expenses. And the top of, when you go to this online budgeting tool, you're going to put the income here that you calculated from those three sources over there. And you're going to budget and do a zero-based budget like you did before. You're going to budget the exact amount that you have for income. You're gonna assign every dollar emission, right? So remaining should be zero. I want a zero-based budget, right?
What's the website that we go to?
Foundationsu.com. This should be zero, and these two should equal each other. All right, what you're gonna see there is a list of about 10 things. Charity, you're gonna figure out if you're gonna do charity, how much savings. You've got some fixed expenses I'm giving you. Rent, housing or rent, $600 a month. Utilities are $600 per month. You're going to figure out how much you spend on food. You're going to figure out how much you spend on transportation and gas. All right. You're going to figure out how much you spend on clothing, medical, if you have to have your own insurance or you get hurt or injured, pay some medical bills. All right. Personal expenses, this is the exact order that you're going to see on your screen. Personal, I want you to put $100. That's $60 for, you don't have to write this down, but it's $60, oops, for the cell phone and $40 for cable. All right? And then you may have some debt. Maybe you've got a small loan out there, or you've got a credit card that you're still trying to pay off that you're going to use to allocate the rest of the money that you still have available. So you're going to have an income source. You're going to budget every dollar of this, so this equals zero. And then once you get all done, you can't put your name on it. So this is, listen closely what you got to do, all right? At the bottom of the budget, turn this up. At the bottom of the budget, email it to yourself. I'd have you email it to me, but if you do, it doesn't have a name on it, so I can't tell whose is whose. So email it to yourself, and then email it to me. That way I know where it's coming from. If you email it to me, it doesn't have any name on it. So at the bottom of the budget says, email it to yourself, put your own email in it, and then forward that email to me. Does that make sense?
Yes. Can you show the income?
Yeah. Let me get, Mr. Graves has asked, is my cameraman today, he's not keeping up with me. All right.
What does that say, $2 a month? The parents match, that's what?
20 hours per week at $10 per hour. That's what you're making $200 a week. Multiply that times 4 for the 4 weeks per month. Multiply that times 0.80 because you got payroll deductions. Added to that, you've got $300 a month in savings that you're taking out. Your parents are going to match that $300. So you got $600 added to whatever you came up with here. That's your total income that you're going to use to create your budget with this online budgeting tool. That's at foundationsu.com. At the bottom, it'll say, email this budget to myself. So email it to yourself. And then once you get it, email it to me. I'd have you email it to me directly, but you can't put your name on it, so I wouldn't know whose is whose. All right, let me go back to one thing. You guys that are seniors and juniors, on that Foundations U site, header up there called resources. This is what they talked about a little bit. If you click on resources, they'll give you several resources. One of them's called scholarship.com. If you go to that and click on that, you can then create a profile for yourself. I tried it. It takes less than 10 minutes, probably closer to 5 minutes. Putting in some stuff as far as what you want to major in, where you want to go to school, where do you live, GPA, a few other things. And it'll, using, I guess, some algorithms, it'll start sending you scholarships that you very possibly could qualify for. And then you make a determination whether or not I'm going to apply for it. You know, deadlines, what you got to do, write a narrative, write an essay, whatever it is. So again, it's a source of, remember she talked about it, scholarships are free money. All right, you don't have to pay them back. So it may be well worth your while to spend a little bit of time doing it, both juniors or seniors.
Mr. Gaffney.
Yes, sir.
So do we just make up our own numbers for like charity and stuff? Because it already has it on the budget.
Oh, yeah, it's already self-filled, so you've got to fill that. This, I want you to use 600 for the, let me turn it down a little bit. I want you got to use 600 for the housing or rent, 60 for the utilities, and 100 for the personal. And then everything else that's remaining, you got to go in and allocate. It's already kind of pre-propagated, I guess, with kind of a generic budget. So make sure you do 660 and 100 for those 4 expenses or 3 expenses, and then you fill out the rest, making sure that your income and what you budgeted is the exact same amount, and there's $0 remaining. That's a zero-based budget like we did, back in February? All right, so remember a couple things real quick. Hopefully that was clear. I know I went through kind of fast. Make sure if you haven't done the HOPE essay, tomorrow's the last day. Otherwise it goes as a 0. The on-campus versus off-campus living, if you haven't done that, tomorrow's the last day. Otherwise it goes in as a 0. And just make sure you do this by Monday the 6th. I know we've run over time, so I'll let you go unless you have any questions.
What do you recommend by like increasing our essay skills?
If you couldn't come up with more than 2 paragraphs, you may want to go back and watch that YouTube video, or if you've got some notes that you can kind of elaborate on them a little bit. It's YouTube and type in Dave Ramsey, Message of Hope. You can watch excerpts of it.
Oh, no, not for that. I'm talking about for scholarships.
Oh, then say your question again.
Like, what do you recommend on increasing our skills in that?
Let me take a rain check on that. I'm running out of time. Let me ask Ms. Metcalf. She may have some pointers or maybe a kind of a recipe of how to best do that to improve your chances or odds of getting a scholarship.
All right.
All right. You guys are free to go, and I'll see you on Tuesday. Be safe. Wash your hands. Don't touch your eyes, ears, nose, mouth, face. That's how it's transmitted. Be safe.
Keep it easy, Mr. Gaffney.
You too. We'll see you.
All right.
All right. I know Brandon and Mr. Land is still on. It's okay. Since I failed to begin recording with my announcements, I'm going to go over those real quick so they're on here for anybody that catches this video as a recording. Let me just go over announcements fairly quickly. All right. Announcement: Blackbot is back. Give me till Sunday night to make sure it is current and up to date, and then follow up behind me to make sure I have not inadvertently left out something, a grade that you've actually submitted. Tomorrow, Friday, April 3rd, is the deadline for the Message of Hope essay. You've had 8 days to do it. If you don't turn it in by tomorrow, it's going to 0, and I'm shutting off that spigot to turn that in. The on-campus versus the off-campus exercise from Tuesday's class, make sure that's also in by tomorrow. Otherwise, it stays as a permanent 0. Remember, for your participation grade, that's PG. There's 2 classes. You got to come to both classes each week. and check in with me at least 1 office hour per week just to see how you're doing, how I'm doing, anything I may be missing, catching up on anything that's important and pertinent to you. All right, just check in with me. I want to see your smiling face. Today, which you've already seen, we went over section 3 of chapter 5 on life after high school. We covered pages 110 to 117. We watched 2 videos, which are on the video. The exercise that we just set you up on is due by Monday. All right. And I gave you the link for the college scholarships, how you can get into a pool by setting up a resume, where then Foundation starts sending you possible college scholarships that you may qualify for. We're going to complete chapter 5 on Tuesday in section 4. All right. We're going to complete chapter 5, and we're going to do the test online. We'll see how that works. I'm not going to make it closed book because I know some people are going to open their book even if I say not. So it's going to be open book. There'll probably be a very small window time of when to take it. And then I'm going to close the window down so that we're not screenshotting and taking videos for others to get aid or assistance from people that took it earlier. All right. These are the announcements that we did cover at the beginning of class. Hope everybody has a good day, and we'll see you on Tuesday.